Hello and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we round up the best and the worst of the Premier League weekend just past. I am joined by Henry Hill. Henry, how are we doing on this fine Monday morning?
Yes, an EFD takeover of FD. About time. Yeah, they've finally let me loose on the main channel. Oh yeah, really good. Enjoyed the football this weekend. Some big games across Europe. This title race in the Premier League is getting pretty exciting now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Today we're going to kick off with our losers, and unfortunately it has to be Arsenal. They threw away a 2-0 lead against West Ham to draw 2-2 less than 24 hours after Man City beat Leicester City 3-1. The gap is now just 4 points, and City have that game in hand, although it is against Brighton, who put in another amazing performance this weekend against Chelsea. And the two opponents meet at the Etihad a week on Wednesday. Henry, how did this happen? What went down in this game?
Well, it's a serious case of deja vu for Arsenal, isn't it? I mean, they started brilliantly once again away from home. They went 2-0 up within 10 minutes through Gabby Jesus, his fourth goal in his last 3 games. Then we saw Odegaard get on the end of a cross. 18th league goal contribution this season. You know what? When he joined Arsenal, I thought he was a good player. I didn't realise he was going to be this good. Yeah. I think he's just been exceptional, and I'm really pleased for him after everything that he's done in his career. But yes, and then we start to see the wagon fall off, as it were. 33 minutes, Declan Rice robs Thomas Partey, squares it to Paqueta, who's brought down by Gabriel. Ben Rama tucks away a really nice penalty. And from this point onwards, we're really seeing Arsenal's performance dips. I think they only had one shot in between the 10th minute and the 49th minute in that game. So yeah, really not good at all. And I think Martin Odegaard himself admitted that they lost control in that period. After half-time, we see Arsenal have a huge opportunity to re-establish that 2-goal lead with a penalty from a handball in the box. Saka, love the guy, terrible penalty. I think he telegraphed exactly where it was going. Yeah. And then it didn't even hit the post. I mean, it was poor, and they really needed that, Arsenal. First penalty miss since 2015, which is quite remarkable. We then see Jared Bowen go and equalise, 2-2. I think he's been playing really well recently, certainly helping David Moyes in his sort of hours of need, let's say. And then we see West Ham really push, and they could go and pinch a winner, Antonio hitting the crossbar. So yeah, great point for West Ham under the circumstances, but another shocker from Arsenal, who cannot afford this. And I think this blip is happening almost too early. There's still quite a lot of games to play, and yeah, they're really giving themselves all to do, having led in both of the previous games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you make a good point about the penalty. I always think that if you go to the open side, as in for a right footer to far into the top right is a lot harder than the bottom right, and same for a left footer. If you go high to the opposite side of your natural swing, then I think you can leave yourself open to missing penalties, and we've seen that in recent weeks with Salah and now Saka as well. But Arsenal, it felt like, despite having the better of XG, which scored it at 2.7 to 2, their inability to get over the line once again is worrying. They've now thrown away 2-goal leads in 2 consecutive games. They're only the 5th side to do so in the competition's history, which is a mental stat. And it doesn't help when they keep on making basic mistakes. They've given away penalties in consecutive matches for the first time since September 2019. It obviously didn't matter at Anfield because Salah missed that penalty, but Ben Rama tucked it away really nicely, as you already said. And it's an issue in terms of they are facing so much more traffic. I think they're more prone to give away mistakes in this game. In their last 13 games, they've dropped 12 points and only kept clean sheets in 3 games against Leicester, Everton and Fulham. Leicester and Everton struggling this season. Fulham, who have had a dip in form, of course. And a lot of that is down to injuries. I do think the absence of Saliba is particularly massive as well. I just don't think Rob Holding's anywhere close to that level. Tomiyasu as well is out, which means Ben White can't play centrally, and then Zinchenko recently as well. And they lack control in this game. I think Partey had a rare off game as well. Only 1 tackle, 0 interceptions, 0 dribbles, and this is a guy that's been close to averaging 3.6 defensive actions per 90, so way down on that level. And it was his mistake that led to the penalty. I will say, on second viewing, I thought Rob Holding held onto the ball for way too long and gave Partey, when the ball eventually went to Partey, he was under too much pressure. Was it a handball from Declan Rice in the build-up? It did strike his arm. I think Arsenal fans will feel slightly aggrieved on that as well. But it just feels like Rob Holding is not of comparable quality to Saliba. And that's not really a massive surprise, but this is a guy that really arguably cost Arsenal, their Champions League run last year with that shocking performance against Spurs. He's had some iffy performances recently as well. And it's perhaps a little bit unfair to expect too much of him when he's only played 377 league minutes. He's coming in cold into the hottest part of the season and mistakes are following. But they need to fix it fast. They've conceded 6.6 expected goals in their last 2 matches. That's 18% of their season's total. And they've now only got the 4th best defence by expected goals against, behind City, Brighton and Newcastle. But it was interesting hearing Arteta post-game, who seemed a little bit more concerned with their inability to kill off the game rather than their defending. But Henry, the issue is that while Arsenal are having this little blip, City are just rolling on.
Ooh, yeah. 14 matches unbeaten. James Wayne behind the camera will be very happy with what's going on. Yeah, they've won the last 10, scoring 36 goals in those 10 games. That's, 3.6 goals a game.
Insane.
That's insane numbers for the Premier League, certainly. They've only conceded 4 in that time, so we've seen them sort of go to that back 4 of just central defenders, and it's really working well. It's so solid at the back, and they don't need to push all these players forward when they've got so many players up there who are capable of doing business. Erling Haaland, etc. I mean, what a season he's having. Yeah, I'm really worried for Arsenal. Obviously, they've got this absolutely massive clash against each other coming very soon. That's really going to be the decider for me. I think if City poke their noses in front, kind of like we saw Bayern do of Dortmund recently, if City can poke their noses in front, then I don't see how Arsenal are going to sort of be able to muster up the strength to reel them back in, because City just so impressive on all fronts at the moment. Don't look fazed at all by the fact they've got European football. I am really concerned. There are a few weaknesses. Ederson's not having his best campaign. 63% save percentage is really not what you're expecting from his point, but I think you can give him the benefit of the doubt after how well he's been playing recently. And then I think City's run-in is pretty favourable. They've got Fulham, West Ham, Leeds, Everton, Chelsea, and that final game against Brentford, that's not easy at all. And obviously this clash against Brighton too. But if we look at Arsenal's run-in, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Forest and Wolves, who are really going to be going for it at the end of the campaign. So I think on balance, you'd have to give it to City at the moment. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, they probably edge ahead. I think that City were slightly fortunate at the end of this Leicester game, to be honest, at the weekend. They made a lot of changes, and Leicester could have easily equalised in that game. Maddison had a great chance one-on-one. Ederson made a great save. Kelechi Iheanacho hit the post as well. And it felt like that was a massive opportunity, and I think that would have been a huge momentum shift. Having said that, as you say, that attacking threat, when they've got their full strength 11 on the pitch, it's very, very difficult to deal with. I mean, Erling Haaland scuffed a penalty at the weekend, it still went in. He scored an amazing goal onto a Kevin De Bruyne pass as well, and they are just absolutely purring going forward at the moment. They look so confident, as you say. And Real Madrid, I think, will be worried coming up against them. They're on course for a treble. And I feel like even if Arsenal miss out on the league this season, which I saw Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and Roy Keane and Gary Neville debating, I don't think it's a failure of a season whatsoever. They were 5th last year. They are missing out potentially to one of the best sides in Premier League history, who have put together an amazing run of form. What did you say? 10 wins in a row, 36 goals scored in those games. This is insane stuff. They just destroyed Bayern Munich. So if Arsenal weren't to get over the line, yes, it's a huge disappointment, but it's not a failure for me. So I think they can rightly hold their heads very high on their performance so far this season. So you're going Man City?
It pains me, but yes.
I'm actually still going Arsenal. I said Arsenal a few months ago, and I want to stick with them. They are 4 points ahead. I think that game against Brighton, that game against Brentford on the final day will be difficult for City as well. They lost to them at the Etihad earlier this season, and a lot can change between now and the end of the season. Guys, who do you agree with though? Are you with Henry? Are you going for Man City, the juggernaut that is just rolling into gear, or are you going with Arsenal to overcome this sticky patch? Let us know in the comments down below. And who do you think should be blamed for Arsenal's recent results as well? If anyone, let us know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Football Daily, and we'll catch you later on. Bye-bye.